Rhea's story continued. I was talking the other day in those notes, chapters, about Mihai and our conversation in the subway, wherein I insisted, look, you must come. There's money to be made there. It's uh, outrageously well paid, incredible. And indeed, there were days, as I mentioned, when you made $100. $100 was the salary for, I don't know, 3 months. So it was, and for a day or even less than that. And opportunities and excitement and flow. Mihaly would say you had concentration, you had challenges because you had to do things indeed in crazy difficult circumstances. You had goals, you had feedback. It was life at the maximum. These are moments which fucked up my brain, for sure, to a degree, but then also offered incredible satisfaction. Um, these were the days when I lived at full speed and full maximum intensity. And to end with this conversation in the subway, with great, more than great reluctance, as aforementioned. In the first place, there was no way Mihai would come. No way. Stupid, crazy. If you're a lunatic, you go ahead. I'm not coming in any scenario. Gradually, he didn't accept the idea. He didn't say yes. No, far from that. He still said this is not something worth thinking about. But in the end, he did. And this is, I would say, well, as family, of course, I am influenced. I've used to influence my daughter's life. I mean, she's my daughter. Without me, she wouldn't be around. But then now my influence is so there's family where you have an impact, for better or for worse. If you ask my wife, I think she would say the latter. But then this is the only other man, I guess, whose life I've changed. I mean, it was my insistence, as I said. It's fascinating in a way. It's incredible that I've insisted and talked to a man who not only hadn't known about such a perspective, but he was full speed backwards against it. He was thinking I'm crazy, but I kept saying to him, I don't know why, but that's, well, for those who believe in destiny, so that's your thing. I just was the hand of destiny, so I had to keep pestering him. And he did come, and we did work for a while, in 1990 only. Then we didn't, up to now. As I said a month back, put a note on Facebook, are you? Yes, and he said something like, you changed my life. Because not only did he work for a few weeks with me, he stayed with this. That became his job. I went on to do other things. Briefly, I will come back to this in the next talk we have. But I would go on to do some work with Radio Sweden, where we collaborated. That's coming in the next episodes. Then a few odd jobs when time called. Maybe again Radio Sweden came back for a short while. But through the intercontinental connection, the PR, Madam Roxana Sevanchuk or whatever, I forgot her name, but she deserves my gratitude, wherever she is. she gave me some groups which came through them. There was Smithsonian. From the Smithsonian, I made a connection with the American Embassy, and that's where I did business for a long time. Actually, until Hannah was born, which is 15 years ago. And then that was 15 years ago when she was still 1 or 2. So 13 years ago, I stopped uh, practically for good. In the meantime, I've seen twice some people who came over from Texas and went with them, but that was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and that's about it with travel and tours. So with Mihai, showed up at the Intercontinental. We talked. At that stage, a little earlier, perhaps a little later, I hooked up with Radio Sweden. Madam, here I remember the name, I don't know how, because the relationship was not that warm. Actually, it was rather cold, with Christina Nylander from this radio. And she contributed to this impression I have, this which is probably not justified. Very likely it's not correct, but I don't like the Nordic people, and my feeling is that they're cold. She was cold, and I didn't find her very likable. Thank God, thank her again, she did send some business my way. True, the salary per day dropped dramatically 5 times. I mean, whereas it was $100 and more, but $100 was the rate with Helsinki and Sanomat and many others. True, in the first busy days, and for jobs which didn't take more than 3-4 maximum days. And with her, the perspective was much longer, and indeed we worked for about 6 weeks, and she dropped it to $20 per day. That's how much I was paid. In that money, which was still, I mean, for 10 days, $200, that's something, again, that people would make in 2 months. Or, I don't know, it was in dollars. Dollars were very, very valuable. The official rate was 10 times less than the unofficial rate, which would buy so much. So price per parity was fabulous. And to end with, indeed, they've had some surveys, and they found that the least liked population, least liked people in Europe, were the Romanians, and those who least liked Romanians were the Swedish and the Danish. Maybe I'm wrong here, but anyway. And then the Croatians didn't like us for some reason. I don't know what's that strange explanation there. Okay, bye bye.